their lives looking up at the glass tower of power, wondering what magic words, what secret handshake, or what bloodline gets you inside that room. We imagine the elite. The CEOs, the world leaders, the icons are guarded by walls of steel and ego. We think that to reach them, we must be louder, faster, and more aggressive than everyone else. But there is a hidden truth about the most powerful people on this planet. A truth that Dale Carnegie discovered in the smoke-filled rooms of the 20th century's giants. Every day, influential people are haunted. They are haunted by askers, people who want their money, their time, their endorsement, or their 5 minutes or to pick their way into a person of high influence. But the world is a sea of grasping hands. Because of this, they have built the most sophisticated BS detectors in human history. If you approach them with an agenda, they smell it before you even open your mouth. Our protagonist, Silas, decided he did not want to be an asker. He wanted to be an infiltrator, not of their bank account, but of their hearts. He realized that the most powerful man in the world has the exact same biological hardware as a lonely clerk in basement. The desperate, aching need to be understood. In fact, the higher a person claims, the more isolated they often become. They are surrounded by yes men, but they are starved for genuine connections. In this video, we are not just talking about how to be nice, we are talking about the art of high-stake connections. We are going to deconstruct how to bypass the gatekeepers, melt the icy exterior of the elite, and turn the most influential people you know into mentors and allies. This is not a guide on how to follow the powerful. This is a guide on how to become the person the powerful want to know. Put down the pitch deck, stop rehearsing about me. We are going into the history labyrinth of the elite, and the key to the door, it's been in your pocket. Imagine you are standing in a room full of people. You have the best ideas, the sharpest wit, and a heart of full ambitions. But as you speak, it's a higher. There an invisible soundproof wall between you and everyone else. You see their eyes glaze over. You feel the sober pull of their bodies as they lean away. You leave the room wondering, why did they listen? Why don't they like me? Most of us spend our entire lives trying to smash through that wall, the logic, arguments, and being right. But what if I told you the wall is not made of stone? It's made of ego, and you don't break it down, you melt it. In 1936, a man named Dale Carnegie published a manual for human chemistry. It was not about manipulation, it was about the fundamental hunger every human being carries from the cradle to the grave. The desire to be important narrator. Today we are not just to summarize how to win friends and influence people. We are going to explore the whispering labyrinth of the human psyche. We are follow the story of man who had everything the gain and the nothing but his pride to lose. If you have ever had overlooked, misunderstand, or powerless in your relationship, stay tight. This is the blueprint you have been looking for. Firstly, the story of Silas. Meet Silas. Silas is a brilliant architect in the city of Oakland. He's the smartest man in the room and he knows it, but Silas has a problem. His designs are being rejected by the council. His assistants are quitting. Even his wife has grown coveted. Silas is trying to gather honey by kicking over the beehive. He's about to learn that in the world of influence, logic is distant second to emotions. The 3 fundamental techniques. Carnegie first rule, the hardest: don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Why? Because criticism is a dangerous spark. It can cause an explosion in the powder magazine of pride. Examples: when Silas screams at his assistant for a misspelled line, he thinks he's correcting the work but is actually wounding the assistant's sense of importance. The assistant doesn't think, oh, I must be better. He thinks, I hate Silas and I hope this is his next building fall down. The big secret, appreciations. This is the only one way to get anyone to do anything. You have to make them want to do. And the deepest of human nature, the craving to be appreciated, not flattery. Flattery is from the teeth out. Appreciate is from the heart out. When you go fishing, you don't put a piece of chocolate on a hook because you like chocolate. You use worm because that's what a fish wants. Silas pivot. Instead of telling the council why they want to build the tower, Silas needs to talk about what they want: prestige, safety, and a legacy. The 6 ways to people likes you. Like Silas decided to try a social experiment. He enters the marketplaces with 6 new tools, become genuine interested. Silas stopped talking about his architect. He asks the bakers how he achieved such a perfect crust. He listens. Second, the power of a smile. A smile is a message of your goodwill. It says, I like you. You make me happy. I'm glad to see you. And the third is the sweetest sound. Silas realizes he's been calling from doorman. Hey you. He learns his name, Elias. The next morning he says, good morning, Elias. Elias stands to each is taller to a person. Their own name is the most important sound in any language. The next thing, this is the most important moment of truth. Silas has a final presentation. In the past, he would have argued. He would have told the head counselor, you are wrong about the foundations. But Carnegie taught him, you can't win an argument. If you lose it, you lose it. And if you win it, you lose it. Because you have made the other person feel inferior and resentful. Silas, counselors, I have been thinking about your point from the last week regarding the stone quality. You were right to bring that up. It made me realize I had not encountered from the winter frost what we used as a relation of granitia narrator. He admitted he was wrong quickly and impotently. He showed respect from the other person's opinions. He made the other person feel like the ideas, values, and all things. It's completely nodding, smiling, and finally, it's a better gestures from the Silas. The next part is the long content expansion, the psychology of yes. Why does this work? It's called the sarcastic method. When you start a conversation by emphasizing the things you agree on, you get on the other person saying yes, yes. Physically, when a person says no, their entire glandular and muscular system sets itself in a condition of rejection, but then say yes, the body is open. Accepting, forwarding move influence, it's not a battle, it's a dance. You have to lead, but you have to move with your partner. The next part is conclusion and the challenges. Silas did not just build a tower, he built and he rebuilt his life. He realized that the invisible wall was actually a mirror. People were only reflecting the coldness and ego he was giving them. Dale Carnegie principles are not tricks. They are a way of life. They require you to step out of your own ego and truly see the human being standing in front of you. So, here's my challenges for you today. Pick one person in your life, a difficult boss, a distant sibling, or even the person at the coffee shop for the next 24 hours. So please, don't complain. Don't use their name. Find one thing to sincerely appreciate about them. Watch how the world changes when you stop trying to be important and start making others feel that way. So, the next is, what your next? The shadow of leadership, changing others. Success brings a new challenges. It's one thing to make a friends. It's another to lead them. How do you tell someone they have failed without crushing their spirit? How do you correct a mistake without creating an enemy? Silas looks are Leo's blueprints. They're flawed. Dangerous even. The old Silas would have thrown the paper on the desk and demanded to know what the Leo was thinking. But the new Silas, remember the principle, call attention to the people mistakes indirectly. Silas began by talking about his own blunders. This is Carnegie's secret weapons. Talk about your own mistakes before criticizing other person. It takes the sting out of correction. Yes, I'm not perfect and I don't expect you to be either. Silas, Leo, look at the sketch I did 10 years ago. I almost collapsed a bridge in the north district because I forgot to account for window shear. I was lucky my mentor caught it. You are actually much further ahead than I was at your age. However, if you look at your current math here, do you see what the wind might give us trouble, just like I did for me? Notice the magic. Silas did not say, but he used, and instead of you did great, but you messed me the math. He said, you are doing great, and if we fix the math, the project will be perfect. The next is the psychology of the fine reputation. This is a deep psychological trick. Carnegie reveals the most leaders miss. It's called giving the other person a fine reputation to live up to. If you treat man like a thief, he will steal. If you treat him like a master craftsman, he will spend all night perfecting his work just to prove you're right. Silas could have labeled Leo careless. Instead, he say, Leo, I choose for this team because you're the most precious eye for detail I have seen in years. I know you are the kind of person who won't sleep until the design that saves the city. The next is the ultimate philosophy, the win expansions. As the ribbon is cut to the great tower of Okawan, Silas stands in the back. He doesn't need the applause anymore. He has learned the ultimate truth of the how to win friends and influence people. Influence is not a weapon you use on people. It's a bridge you build between people. Every principle we have discussed, smiling, listening, admitting fault, keeping present, it all boils down to one shift in perspective, moving from me and to us. Narrator. Most people spend their lives playing a zero-sum game. They think for them to mean someone else they must lose. Silas learned by making the council feel smart, making Leo feel talented, and making the villagers feel heard. The hill became the most powerful man in the world city, not because the ruled man, but because they wanted to him. The labyrinth of the human heart is a complex, yes. It is full of traps, ego and pride, but the man Dale Carnegie gave us nearly a century ago is the still most the accurate one we have. You don't need a fancy degree, a loud voice to change the world. You just need to realize that every person you meet is fighting a hard battle and craving a little bit of recognition. Give it to them, not because you want something, but because it is the most human thing you can do. Before you click away, think of one person right now. The one person you find it hardest to talk to. What is the one fine reputation you could give them today? If you found value in the journey through Okawan and the mind of Dale Carnegie, hits that subscribe button. We dive deep into the books and change life every single week. Remember, the world full of people who are lonely, misunderstood, and waiting for someone to listen. Be that persons. The next part is the wall of resistance. Let's be honest, not everyone is going to smile back. There will be people in your life, the Iron Dukes, who see your kindness and weakness and you're listening as a target. What did Carnegie say for the people who seem unreachable? When Silas encountered the Iron Duke, he realized he can't use the same gentle tools. He has to use the challenge principle narrated. Carnegie tells the story of Charles Schwab, who had a mill where the workers were not meeting their quotas. He did not fire them. He did not bribe them. He simply took a piece of chalk, asked the day shift how many hits they made, and wrote a big 6 on the floor. When the night shift came in, the day saw his 6, read the silent challenge, and wrote a 7. Silas' tragedy, instead of pleading with the Iron Duke, Silas says, I was told you were the only man in the province with the courage to fund a project this ambitious. Perhaps I was misinformed. Perhaps this is too much for your house to handle. This is the desire to excel, the desire to prove one worth. By throwing down a challenge, Silas is not attacking the Duke, he is giving the Duke a chance to prove his own greatness. The next part is the letter of fire. This chapter is the history of influence that many skips. It's about the letter we don't send. We have all been there. Someone insult us and we sit down to write a letter of fire. We want to burn them with our words. Even Abraham Lincoln used to do this. He would write a stinging, insulting letter to general who failed him, and then he would put the letter in a drawer and never mail it. Why? Because Lincoln knew that a drop of honey catch more fires than a gallon of gall. Silas, in the moment of fury, write a letter to the council. He calls the short-sighted fools, but then he remembers Carnegie voice. He realized that if he sends letter, that might feel good for 5 minutes, but he will lose his influence for 5 years. So he waits. He cools down. He writes a different letter. Wanted focus on their shared goals. This is the ultimate test for characters, and the ability to control the impulses to be right in favor of goals of being effective. The final transformation beyond the book. As we reach the end of our journey through the whispering labyrinth, we realize that how to be win friends and influence people just about business deals and social status. It's a book about empathy and superpower. Narrator in world that is increasingly digital, cold, and divided, the principle of Dale Carnegie and more radical now than they were in 1936. To actually look someone in the eye, to remember their name, and to truly care about what they want. They makes you disruptor, that makes you leader. Silas died on an old man, not just surrounded by the stone buildings, but the people who truly loved him. He did not manipulate them into his life. He invited them by making space for them to be heroes of their own stories. The labyrinth is not something to fear, it's a place to explore, and now you have been mapped. The summary checklist. Before you go, let's lock this in. If you take nothing else away, remember these 4 pillars. The first is the foundations. The don't criticize, it's a boomerang that always hits you back. That's the fuel. Give honest, sincere appreciation. It's the hunger everyone has. The key. Become genuinely interested in the other people. You will make more friends in 2 months. Become being interested than in 2 years trying to be interesting. And the last is the master stroke. Let the other person say face. Even if they 100% talk, let them keep their dignity. This video took a lot of work to bring to life. If Silas journeys moved you, or if Carnegie word sparks a light in your mind, let me know in the comments. What's the one principle you find the hardest to follow? It is the not criticize rule, or is it remembering names? Let's talk about it below. And if you want to master the art of the mind, check out our previous video on man's search for meanings. Go out there, say someone's name and watch the door open. I'll see you in the next one. The next part is the shadow side. Influence versus manipulations. As Silas gained one more power in Okavan, a whisper began to circulate in the back of his mind, a cool tempting thought. If I know how to make people say yes, can't I make them do whatever I want? Is this a gift or it's a weapon? This is the crossroad every student of Carnegie must face. Is there a difference between a winning friends and using people? The answer lies in his intent. Manipulation is one way street. It's a hidden trap where only one person wins. Influence and its purest form is a symphony where everyone plays a part they love. Carnegie was often accused of teaching hypocrisy, but he argued that if the appreciation is not a sensor, it will eventually fail. You can't fake a heartbeat. People are sixth sense for the flattery. When you tell someone they are not important just to get a favor, you are not building a bridge. You are taking a bit, and eventually you will be the one of fools into it. Silas realizing that to stay true in his past, he must never use these tools to ache. They must only use them to trade value for value, respect for respect. The butterfly effect. We often think that to influence people we need to give a speech to thousands, but Carnegie's most profound realization what was the world is a change the quiet 5 minutes conversation with him don't matter. Let's look a fictional moment that happen every day. A young clerk, let's assume a young clerk exhausted and discouraged, it's about to quit his job. He feels invisible, he feels like failure. Then his manager walks about. Instead of ignoring him, the manager stops. He remembers the clerk name, Julian. He says that report you filed yesterday, the way you organized the data was brilliant. It saved us 3 hours of work, thank you. And those 3 sentences cost of the manager nothing. They took 10 seconds, but for Julian's they are lifeline. He goes home, his head is high. He's a kinder to his wife. His wife is a more patient with their son. The son grown up believing he has values, and 20 years later he starts a foundation that feeds thousands. This is the butterfly effect of influence. You are not just talking to a person, you are not talking to everyone that a person will ever meet. The next part is echo inclusions, the final wrap up. We started this journey at the entrance of Whispering Lebanon. We thought the goal was to find a way to make the world what we want, but as we stand here at the end, we realize the secret was never about changing the world. It was about changing the way we see the world. Narrator. When you look at a stranger and see a friend you have not met yet, when you look at an enemy and see a person who is simply hurting, the Lebanon that disappears, they falls, melt away. You are no longer a stranger in a cold world. You are architect of a warmer one. Dale Carnegie book has sold over 30 million copies, but the most important copy is that one you write with your own life starting today. The next time you open your mouth to speak, ask yourself, am I kicking the beef? Most important thing, what I am saying, because I learned from this book. First is, Carnegie says, talk to a man about himself and he will listen for hours. When Silas met a Titan, he doesn't ask how are you, he asks, I read an interview from 12 years ago where you mentioned that your biggest fear is for following your father's legacy. Now that you have built the empire, doesn't the fear still drive you, or has it changed? The answer is, you have immediately separated yourself from 99% of the world. You are not a fan, you are a biographer. The next thing is what I learned. The mistake everyone makes, the influential people, is asking for a favor too early. Silas follows the law of cumulative value. He provides value 3 times before he ever asks for a drop of water. He sent them an articles they might like. He introduced them to contact. He praises their work publicly. The result, he built a depth of donor. When he finally does ask for something, the influential person is actually happy to help to balance the scales. And the final part is influence is not about climbing a ladder. It's about realizing the ladder is an illusion. When you see Dale Carnegie principle at the highest level, you don't influence the powerful, you connect with them. And in that connection, your own power is born. This is the end of our story of Silas, but it's the beginning of yours. The towers are waiting, the titans are lonely, and you finally know what you say.